Okay, so we are letters, so Roman numeral 3, letter C, number 6, Hanukkah. And I just said a minute ago, it's a little bit ridiculous to speak about Hanukkah in July. It feels a lot to talk about the holidays when they're not in their season. And I guess for that reason, it's sort of, I guess those of you in the conversion process, why it generally speaking, takes about a year so that you experience all the holidays as part of the learning process, right? So let's talk about Hanukkah. It's it's become a very popular holiday in America, a very well-known Jewish holiday, probably because of its proximity to Christmas. So that sort of gives it like a kind of it's part of the American quote-unquote holiday season. It's not quite an importance in Judaism. It's not a holiday in the Torah, right? Hanukkah is not mentioned in the Torah, and not only is it not in the Torah, it's not in the Hebrew Bible at all. The book of Maccabees that describes the story of Hanukkah is not part of the Hebrew Bible. It's in the Catholic Bible. The Catholic Old Testament includes the books of Maccabees, but it's not in the Hebrew Bible. So that's sort of an interesting history of canonization of the Bible. There were all these books. 24 of them ended up in the Hebrew Bible. A few others ended up in the various Christian churches thought these were canonical books. And Judith Makasinkovich is going to be here this Shabbat as a scholar. This is something that she knows a lot about. And you can ask her any question you have about the Apocrypha. She's going to speak about some of these books that were written by ancient Jews and didn't make it into the Hebrew Bible. And she'll talk about some of them and their importance. But the books of Maccabees are some of those books. So it's interesting. It seems, we don't have them in Hebrew. They don't exist in Hebrew anymore. But the first book of Maccabees, scholars think, was originally written in Hebrew because it's very bad Greek, but good Hebrew. Like the style, as a lot of the sentences start with and it was in the days of, which is really bad Greek, so they say. But it's that is the style of biblical Hebrew narrative and history. So it seems to be echoing the biblical Book of Kings in its narrative style. So scholars think it was originally written in Hebrew. We don't have it in Hebrew. It was not preserved by Jews in Hebrew, but we have it in Greek, and it's part of the Catholic Old Testament. We also have the story, obviously, is also preserved in Josephus, who was a Jewish historian. He lived in the Roman period and wrote a history of the Jews, which covers the biblical period and the post-biblical period, including the story of the Maccabees. That book was also not preserved by the Jews, but the Romans and the Christians thought it was important, and they preserved Josephus, and we have it today. And there are stories of the kind of story also is preserved in Jewish literature itself. It's in the Talmud, though we do have some references to it. Although, again, interestingly enough, was not canonized as part of the Hebrew Bible. It was not in the Hanukkah is not emphasized as much in the rabbinic literature as other holidays. There's almost no reference to Hanukkah in the Tannaitic, that early, if you recall, months ago we talked about the two stages of the Talmudic period. There's the Tannaitic period, which is the Mishnah and the Tosefta, those early Midrashim, and then there's the Amoraim, who came after the Mishnah. So there's no reference to Hanukkah in the Tannaitic. Almost no, rare exception, no reference to Hanukkah in the not mentioned in the Mishnah, with one side-by-side example, which is sort of curious, right? So. And there are lots of theories about why that might be, okay? So it is preserved though in the Oral Torah. It is a holiday we celebrate. It commemorates the fact that in the Hellenistic period, just for your history, Alexander the Great, conquers the Middle East. The rabbinic tradition records, that Alexander was good to the Jews, that he gave us our religious freedom and respected Judaism when he conquered the land of Israel. And actually Alexander is a Jewish name. Right, from that time, it's the Hebrew name. Alexander is a Hebrew name in honor of Alexander the Great, who was good to the Jews. Alexander dies very young, right? He's on campaign in India or something. He dies very young, and his kingdom, which stretched from Egypt and Greece all the way in the west, all the way to India in the east, is divided amongst, I think, 3 of his generals, maybe, or 3 of his sons. I don't remember. So there's the Macedonian kingdom, which is basically in Greece and Macedonia. There's the Ptolemies, who are in Egypt, and the Seleucids, who are in Syria. And Eretz Israel is in between the Egyptian kingdom and the Syrian kingdom, and they kind of fight over the land of Israel over those succeeding generations. And out of that conflict between these 2 empires and struggles for power, you have a faction arising in a Jewish community that is pro-Hellenization, very pro-Greek culture, pro making changes to the temple and introducing Greek religion to the temple, and then there's a revolt against that amongst the peasantry and elements of the old aristocracy, actually. And they're victorious in battle, again, playing off the global empire politics. It's not, there was a lot going on, broader world, but they have a semblance of independence for a few generations, and they are able to assert some cultural independence as well. And that military victory is sort of one part of the Hanukkah story. It's the part of the Hanukkah story that's emphasized in our liturgy. In the prayers that we add for Hanukkah emphasize that sort of miraculous and surprising military victory of this small band of righteous fighters against this, global empire. But the Talmud records another story that after they conquered Jerusalem, they couldn't find any oil to light the candle in the temple, the menorah, the candelabrum that always burned in the temple. They found one jar of pure oil left, and it took 8 days to get new oil, and so that one jar that only was supposed to last 1 day lasted for 8 days, and that miracle was seen as a confirmation that this unlikely military victory was endorsed by God, and that miracle was commemorated at Hanukkah time as well. So, and that's the story in the Talmud. The Talmud tells that story. That's actually so Hanukkah is celebrated for 8 days in the month of Kislev, which is our winter month. And so one interesting question is why we celebrate for 8 days if the first day wasn't miraculous, right? If the oil was expected to burn for 1 day, so really the first day that it burned wasn't miraculous, that was normal. So really only the 7 days afterwards were, understand the question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a very old question. This is a 500-year-old question. There's somebody who wrote a book of 100 different answers to that question. One is that maybe each day, 1/8 of the amount of oil burned, right? So it was a steady pace, and so you're on the first day, right? That's one answer. Maybe finding the oil to begin with was a miracle. Maybe the first day commemorates the military victory that enabled them to be in this situation to begin with. Maybe the commitment to use only pure oil, even under extenuating circumstances when maybe they could have used compromised oil, but that zeal and that fervor is what we're selling. So there are 100 answers, okay? But that is a classic question for Hanukkah. The observance of Hanukkah has sort of two primary aspects. One is there's a mitzvah to light Hanukkah lights every night of Hanukkah for each of 8 nights. The way we do that is we light 1 light on the first night, 2 lights on the second night, 3 lights on the third night, etc., until the 8th night. There are actually different opinions and different practices discussed in the Talmud. That one is the culmination of that discussion in the Talmud and what is universally done today. Often every member of the family will light his or her own Hanukkah lamp. First one candle on the first night, 2 candles on the second night. Some families, one person will light on behalf of everyone. I think more common in our communities for each person to light his or her own. That's one. So every night of Hanukkah is an obligation to light the candles, and there are brachot that are said before lighting the Hanukkah candles. The other way in which the holiday is observed is through extra prayers of praise and thanksgiving. There's a prayer called the Hallel prayer, which we recite on holidays, sort of after the Shachrit service. But Shachrit is our morning service, and on special festivals, holidays, we say these psalms of thanksgiving called Hallel. And so we say those in each of the 8 days of Hanukkah, and that's said in the morning. In addition, all of the prayers that week, we add an additional paragraph. So the Amidah, the standing devotional prayer, which has 19 blessings on the weekday, morning, afternoon, evening, there's like an additional paragraph added. Yeah, let's see, I'll just show you. I'll just talk about it. I'll show you. Yeah. Familiar? Right. Let's turn to page 109, okay? this is the weekday arrangement. Okay. The Amidah, the weekday core prayer that we recite, has 19 blessings. Often it's called the Shemona Esrei. That's sort of how people sometimes refer to it. The 18 blessing prayer. It actually has 19 blessings. So that actually was added later, but they still call it the 18 blessing prayer. Sort of one of those. It's like the
Big 10. Then obviously.
12, 14.
12 or 14.
Okay, that's good. I was going to say it's like the Holy Roman Empire.
Okay, well, yeah.
Holy Roman Empire.
That's what I
Good.
meant.
Okay, excellent. Okay, good. So the Shemona Esrei, the 18 blessing prayer, which has 19 blessings. So, and just if you're, I guess, I generally see you guys here on Shabbat. So on Shabbat, so the first 3 and the last 3 are the same every day of the year, more or less. The middle, we talked about this, some of us, so we talked about the middle ones, like the first 3 are about praise, the last 3 are the blessings of thanks. The ones in the middle are requests for things. And on Shabbat holidays, we don't like ask God for things because we are like living in a perfected world. Like we 6 days we make and we create and we do, and then on Shabbat we just inhabit the world that God made, that we made together, and we don't ask for things. So those middle blessings where we ask for stuff, that's all taken out on Shabbat. But be that as it may, at the end, if you go to page 129 or 128. This is the blessing of Thanksgiving. So this is the third to the end. Okay. So the first of the last 3 blessings of the Amidah, the blessing of Thanksgiving. So this is said 3 times a day, every day of the year, more or less. And if you look on page 130, 131, you see the additional paragraph that's added on Hanukkah. There's also one we add on Purim. Okay. So then you can read it. It speaks about the victory that was achieved, how the times of Matzidyahu, with Yochanan high priest, the Hasmoneans, that's the Maccabees, how they came and protected Judaism. Okay, and so it's added. It's an extra prayer of thanksgiving that's added. This paragraph is also said in Birkat Hamazon, the grace after meals. Any meal that you eat during the week of Hanukkah, this paragraph is added as well. If you look in a bencher or a siddur that you're saying, the grace after meals, this paragraph will be added there too. And then if you go to page 732, 733, sorry for the flips. So it says this is Hallel, okay? It's a series of, so the bracha, a blessing we recite, the blessing for the mitzvah of reciting Hallel, reciting these Psalms of Thanksgiving, and these are said, you see all the dates there when we say these things. We say these on all of those holidays, including Hanukkah, okay? So, and it goes from 732, 733, all the way to 743. If you were in shul 2 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, it was that 2 weeks ago, Shabbat coincided with Rosh Chodesh, with the beginning of the month of Tammuz, and we recited Hallel on Shabbat morning, so some of you were there for it, right? So we sang some of these, right? So that's why service is a little bit longer. We said all of these extra prayers, okay? So Rosh Chodesh is the days we said. Okay. Anything else about Hanukkah? Any questions or no? You observe Hanukkah, you were around Hanukkah. Women are obligated to light Hanukkah candles equally to men, so make sure you light Hanukkah.
One question. When you light them before Shabbat, does it have to burn into the night,
Yes.
or how do you?
Yes, you should get extra long candles. They make,
okay.
so there's standard, like little Hanukkah candles that come in a box, those last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And for Friday, you should not use those. You should use candles that will last into night. So
Yeah, because I think mine lasted like 30 minutes.
Yeah, so for Friday, you should get like the longer ones, like use tea lights, actually.
Oh.
Right, you can just line them up. You could be creative. You could make, use somebody who took empty beer bottles and filled them with water and then poured olive oil on top of the water so that, the olive is kind of floating on top of the water, and then you just put wicks in. And the wicks burn down and the water just burns out afterwards. It's pretty cool. You use glasses, you actually, it doesn't have to be beer bottle. You use glasses, and it's actually very pretty because the oil will just float on top of the water, and then when the oil burns down, then it'll just go down. So you can do whatever. be creative. The point is this should be light, it should be around. Okay, Tu B'Shvat, number 7. Tu B'Shvat is listed in the Mishnah as the New Year for the trees. This is actually a very, very technical law in Jewish law. It's a technical holiday, right? We have all sorts of rules about trees and the year that the tree is in. The first 3 years, you plant the tree, you can't eat the fruit. The 4th year, the fruit is holy. And the 5th year, you can eat the fruit. So you have to know when, which year it is in the, I don't know what the word would be, like there's a fiscal year. So fiscal year is like the year for money, so this would be the fruchtel year. That's a word, the year for fruit. Okay, it's like what year is this for the tree? So you pick a day in the middle of the winter when nothing's growing, and that's how you can have your dividing line. Anything that comes after Tu B'Shvat is the following year's fruit growth, and that's how you, for all sorts of, like tithes and mitzvot that pertain to agriculture, you would need to know which year of the tree it is, okay? They told us when I was little, in Israel, they're beginning of the spring is beginning already. It's not true. Spring is not beginning Tu B'Shvat. The point is, it's not spring, it's the winter, and that's how you know that anything comes afterwards is for the next year. Over the centuries, Tu B'Shvat gained added resonance and added meaning. You had sort of various, sort of interesting, actually, with all the kind of stability and tradition and conservatism of Jewish law, you still have a fair amount of innovation and newness. And so you had the Kabbalists, the mystics in the 16th century, who kind of gave added meaning and resonance to much of Jewish life. They invented the Kabbalat Shabbat service that we recite on Friday night, because they felt that Shabbat, in addition to being this day of rest, was also this mystical day where the shattered elements of God are united, and that's what happens on Shabbat. So, in a way that I don't even understand, but so all these other meanings that they gave to Shabbat, and they added this liturgy to for us to mark that and to reenact that in our own ritual lives. And Tu B'Shvat for them also had added importance, and so it became associated as an important, the New Year of the Trees, where they developed what they called a Tu B'Shvat Seder, like the Passover Seder, but it's a fruit Seder where people eat fruit from the land of Israel, and each signifying something in Jewish mysticism. So, and then of course in the 20th century you had the Zionists, turn Tu B'Shvat into this holiday commemorating the return to Israel and the return to agriculture of Israel, and the effort to plant forests and renew the forest in the land of Israel, which was a really big deal. So,
is it a different day every?
It's always, literally Tu B'Shvat means the 15th of the month of Shvat.
Oh.
Sorry, so it's always the same. So Shvat is a winter month, so it's the middle of that, the 15th of that winter month. Tu is in Hebrew, each letter has a numerical value.
Mm-hmm.
So Aleph is 1, and Bet is 2, and Gimel is 3. So 15 would be Yud and Hey, 10 and 5. But you wouldn't write Yud and Hey because that's the name of God. So instead you do Tet and Vav, which is 9 and 6. So the way you indicate 15 in Hebrew is Tet Vav, 9 plus 6. So Tet Vav, which is 9 plus 6, is 15, is pronounced, if you were to read it, it would be 2. Tet Vav, so Tu B'Shvat. Okay. All right, number 8. Moving along. Rabbi Greenberg's The Jewish Way, great book about holidays, and if you some of you read it or read parts of it. Eliyahu Kitov's The Book of Our Heritage, I think, is on the CRC book list. That also goes through the holidays. And you could sit down and read them all, just read it cover to cover, or you could just read it month by month as you go through the calendar and read it as the holidays occur. But if you do that, you might want to get a head start for the fall, because there are a lot of holidays at once, so you're going to get a head start going into the holiday season. Purim is in the spring. This is also not a Torah holiday. It's not mentioned in the 5 books of Moses. It doesn't have Torah force, but it is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, because the book of Esther, which tells the story of Purim, is a canonical book. Amazing story, right? Describes a Jewish community in the diaspora in Persia who are subject to the plotting of the evil advisors to the king, and they are in a wild and crazy and unexpected twist of plot. It's a great story. They end up being victorious and they're saved, and we win over our enemies instead of them, smiting us. And the holiday was celebrated to commemorate that victory and the Jewish solidarity, really, that enabled that victory to take place. Our unity and our solidarity with one another that, and God working behind the scenes. God's name is not mentioned in the book of Esther, right? So everything is, it's like hidden. God's name is not mentioned, but there's a custom in writing the scroll of Esther to start each column of writing with the word Hamelech, the word the king, which in the book is a reference to Ahasuerus, the king in the story, but when you write it that way, with each column starting with Hamelech, the king, you're saying in your writing that behind the scenes in a hidden way, without the open miracles that we remember from the biblical period, God is still guiding our history and still protecting us in this hidden way. That's also a message of the holiday of Purim. The holiday of Purim is commemorated by 4 mitzvot, all starting with the letter M. The 4 M's, what are they? Number 1, mitzvah of Megillah. Okay? Megillah, the scroll of Esther. The scroll of Esther is read in the synagogue at night, and it's read in the synagogue in the morning, and listening to it, to every word, at night, and again in the morning is a rabbinic mitzvah incumbent on every Jew, man and woman, to hear the Megillah read at night and in the morning. That's mitzvah number 1. Mitzvah number 2 is mishloach manot, which means gifts of food to your friends and neighbors, okay? And you should give at least 2 gifts to one person. So, meaning 2 different food items. So it could be an orange and a can of soda, or it could be a cake and a watermelon, whatever it might be, okay? So, or it can be a candy bar and a tangerine, okay? There's two items of food that you give to at least one person. Many people come to shul with like a bag full of little goodie bags, and they give that to all their friends, or people make elaborate gift baskets that they send to like a few really close friends, or they bake for weeks and weeks and put everything in a little bag. Whatever. You can be very elaborate. You can be very basic. At least two items to one person. Okay, your shloch manot, and it's fun because you come to. And that's a mitzvah for the day. So during the day on Purim, you should give these gifts. And that's again very fun, and people, come to show with big bags, and here people come with big bags, and they just give that to them. That's 1, 2, 3. Matanot evini, gifts to the poor. At least two poor people you should give money to, and that's money that should be given out and dispersed on Purim day itself. So. It's not always easy to find a poor person when you want one. So we collect money and we call into various social service agencies, like the ARC in particular, and we tell them we've raised $1,500 this morning in cash, and they say, great, we're going to mail you a check, and they say, great, we will disperse $1,500 right now to our clients today. But they will have that money on Purim, so they can celebrate the holiday as well. And there are many organizations actually that will enable you to. If you don't happen to know somebody who's poor, or if you can give money to on Purim Day, they will help you give that money on Purim Day itself. There's also a custom not to give money, to give something to anybody who asks you for money on Purim. So, whatever your practice is during the year, in terms of panhandlers, people who ask for money on the street, on Purim, anybody asks for money, you don't check, you don't ask if they're fraudulent, or if they're sincere, or if they're deserving. Just anybody who asks for money gets money on Purim. Something, okay? So you should, carry a lot of dollar bills or quarters or something in your pocket on Purim.
What if it's on Shabbat?
It doesn't happen.
Oh, it always comes.
We work that out. Well, I'll tell that in a minute, actually. We work that out. And the 4th mitzvah is a Sudat mitzvah, to have a festive meal, which again is a meal that's eaten like a meal, so it has to be bread and washing and bread and Birkat Hamazon eaten on the day of Purim itself. So typically that would be in the afternoon, like as the day is ending. So in the morning you come to shul, you hear the Megillah read, then during the day you drive around or walk around and give out mishloach manot to your friends, and you make sure you give to the poor, and then in the afternoon you gather in someone's house and you have a big festive meal. And some have the custom to get a little bit drunk on this festive meal. The Talmud does say one should get drunk on Purim. The Talmud also says that was a rabbi who killed his friend on Purim because he got so drunk, then revived him, brought him back to life, and the next year he refused to join him for his Purim Suda. He said, miracles don't happen twice, so I'm not going to, no thanks, but no thanks, I'm not going to be with you this year. So that's a cautionary tale maybe. I think the mitzvah to get drunk, the custom to get drunk doesn't override the basic obligations of being a mensch and not harming yourself or harming others. But that is, you should be, you should know this exists, okay? And you should be surprised. It's a fun holiday. Because the story of Esther is a story of things going kind of topsy-turvy, and it's almost like a carnival-esque kind of feeling. Often people put on satirical plays. We have a satirical play that we have here at the shul. People make fun of their teachers, make fun of the rabbi. It's like a very, I had a teacher who said to me, a teacher of mine, his father is also a very prominent rabbi. He said, the only thing worse than being made fun of on Purim is not being made fun of on Purim. It's a sign you're important, right? They care about it. They notice it. Purim. So Purim in the calendar. We talked last time and the time before that about the ancient system of intercalculation to make sure that the Pesach is always in the spring, Passover always has to be in the spring. We spoke about that, and the signifiers, and they would add a leap month. Remember, right? And the leap month was always Adar. So if Adar was too cold and not ready for the next month to be Pesach, can't come in a month from now, they added an extra month of Adar to push off Pesach. So if they add an extra month of Adar, Purim, which is in the month of Adar, is celebrated in the second Adar. So the date that would have been Purim in the first Adar ends up being called Purim Katan. That's not very important. It's we don't really observe it, but that's what it's called, whatever. We skip Tachanun. Otherwise we don't really do anything on Purim Katan, but that's what it is. It's also called Shushan Purim because the Megillat Esther says that the Jews defeated their enemies on the 13th of Adar and they celebrated on the 14th, except for in Shushan, the capital, where they needed an extra day to defeat their enemies. They didn't rest until the 15th. And so in Shushan itself, the holiday was observed not on the 14th of Adar, but on the 15th of Adar. And so too, in any walled city that had a wall at the time of Joshua, any ancient walled city, which basically means Jerusalem, which is I think really the only city that I can think of where Jews actually live today, which had a wall in ancient times. So in Jerusalem, Purim is observed on the 15th, rather than the 14th of Adar. So if you're ever in Israel, you can either observe Purim twice, right? Once outside of Jerusalem and then going into Jerusalem, or you could skip it if you just go the other way. So Purim is observed on a different day in Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, because the 15th of Adar, I believe, can occur on a Saturday. The 14th can never occur on a Saturday, I believe. No, am I right? I don't remember. I don't think the 14th can ever be on a Saturday. The 15th I think can. What they do in the 15th, in Jerusalem, you have something occasionally where Purim gets divided over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where you say Al Hanisim on Saturday, but you read Megillah on Sunday, I think. No. Yes, because Purim, the 14th can be on a Friday, which means the 15th can be on a Saturday. Exactly right. The 14th can be on a Friday, which is awkward but doable. Because you go straight from Purim into Shabbat, which is a little bit weird because you have your Purim Suda in the afternoon, and then
you're ostensibly.
And then all of a sudden, you're a little bit drunk, you're a little bit tired, and all of a sudden Shabbat starts. So maybe in the middle of your meal, you clear the table and make Kiddush and then continue your meal. Or you finish your meal an hour early and you take a shower and go to shul. Whatever it might be, okay? But that does happen. So the 14th can be on a Friday. In years like that, where the 15th is Shabbat, I believe what they do is they divide, I did this once, so I should remember. Purim gets divided over 3 days. And so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the mitzvot gets spread out. So I think on Saturday, all they do is say Al Hanisim. And I think Megillah maybe is on Friday and the Suda's on Sunday, or maybe the meal on, I'm pretty sure the meal's on Sunday, do they do anything on Friday? I think they must, maybe they read Megillah on Friday, and then the meals on Sunday, and Saturday they just say Al Hanisim. So it gets divided over 3 days, like a 3-day Purim, and it happens every so often, only in Jerusalem. So it's pretty fun. But otherwise, yeah. But outside of Jerusalem, Purim Day, the 14th, is never on a Saturday. Only on a Friday. Okay. Any other questions on Purim or comments on Purim? Favorite Purim memories? Any great Purim movies? There's that Purim movie. I can't think of the name of it. Okay, never mind. The movie is called. Never mind. It's like a comedy about from like 10 or 15 years ago.
There were a lot of pictures that came out right after Purim of like people really drunk in Israel.
Yes, I mean every year. I mean people.
It was pretty funny.
Like you just saw like people sharing, like friends of yours, or
No, just like articles about Purim.
like in the
And like Jewish blogs and Jewish websites, just like random pictures.
For Your Consideration is a movie from 2006, which three actors learn. Three actors learned their respective performances in the film Home for Purim, the drama set in the mid-1940s American South, are generating award season buzz. So it's a comedy. You know, it's a Christopher Guest movie. Remember? He does those faux documentaries like Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman, right? Remember those? So there's something both enchanting and disorienting about watching a Christopher Guest film that features conventional camera angles and narrative structure. It's a blah, 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 like its predecessors, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show, Mighty Wind. For consideration is largely improvised, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's not really that important, but it features like their actors in them. Okay, Home for Purim. Okay, that's I think the most prominence that Purim has ever played in an American film, but as far as I can think. It's a lot of fun. It's a really, really fun day. Number 9 is Passover. Passover, I think we talked about before Passover. Good, okay. The Omer, we talked about the Omer, so number 10. So the Torah is a mitzvah. So the Omer, there's an Omer sack. Omer means it's a unit of grain. There was a grain sacrifice that was offered the day after Passover in the temple, and then there's a mitzvah to count the days, 50 days from that offering, the day after Passover, count 50 days, and then Shavuot is observed at the end of the 50-day period. So in the Torah, it seems like maybe it's like just a way to connect those two holidays. That seems like what it's about. We do that mitzvah if you recall, being in shul at night, every evening in shul, or if people aren't in shul at home, they count. There's a bracha that you have Siddur, just take a look. There's 284, I think. 285. Yeah. So here is actually, if you see it, begins with this declaration. Some say the following meditation before the blessing, for the sake of the unification of the Holy One, blessed be He. So let me just think about that. Just a little tangent about that. Shall I? 1 second. Sorry. Oops. Sorry. Anyone see a picture of our baby? Cute, right?
So cute.
Okay, all right. What was I talking about? Oh, I was talking. What was it? Okay, so this is a little like an idea that I heard from Rabbi Solberg, and so I'm just saying that because it's recorded. So you may see this. Like 100% of this is from him. The rabbis were concerned that we perform mitzvot with proper reverence for the fact that we are doing an action which is creating a bond with God, right? We incredibly nobly think about the opening chapter of Genesis. God creates the universe, but only humanity is commanded, and that commandedness creates a relationship, that we are bound by God in a normative fashion, we're accountable to God, etc. So we should be doing these mitzvot with awareness of what we're doing. And so the way that they enforced that or promoted that was with this idea of a bracha. Before you do a mitzvah, say Baruch atah Hashem. We talk to God in the second person. Baruch atah. We speak to God, direct second person, who is also Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, like the sovereign of the universe, Asher kitshama mitzvotav, who made us holy through His commandments. Not only the commandments give us like a relationship to God, a way to connect to God, they also make us holy. Vitzivanu, and commanded us concerning lighting Shabbos candles, counting Sfirat HaOmer, reciting Hallel, whatever the mitzvah may be. However, over time, people got inured and so used to saying these brachot, they just say them as you may have observed, or to yourself or to others, without sort of thinking about what they're saying. Sort of just like leave that window, it's like another window would open. That saying brachot, there's a film, it's an Israeli movie that took place, the characters in the movie are religious Jews, but the actors are just actors. So there's a scene where one of the actors says a bracha, one of the characters says a bracha in his rabbi's house and eats a pickle. Okay? In the bracha for pickle?
Shekel.
No.
Oh,
Pickles.
Ha'adama.
Yes, pickles grow from the ground.
Yeah,
pickles
that's
that-
true.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a cucumber, it's still sufficiently identifiable as a cucumber that the bracha is adama. It's not like,
What about like relish?
relish would be shackled, I think, I presume, because it's like no longer, if it was like pickled juice, it would be shackled. Relish, I think, is like mushed and processed, that's no longer. Okay. So he says a bracha. But the actor, like, who had not, he's not spent his whole life saying these brachot, and felt the words were pretty profound and significant, and like clearly, so he is in the, actually he goes into the house, picks up the pickle, it's Baruch atah Hashem, like, Barei, Priya, and he says the bracha with great reverence and intention and devotion, eats the pickle, and then cut, and it took many reshoots to get him to say the bracha with a certain kind of casual, like natural, like whatever, as we often say. So it's a sad story, maybe. But that's what happened to the bracha. So the next idea, which happened in the post-rabbinic, like in the post-Talmudic period, was, well, before we say the bracha, let's stop for a minute. Before we say the bracha, and we're going to say, Hineni muchanim mizuman. Here I am, Hineni. Here I stand, prepared and ready to fulfill the positive commandments of counting the Omer, as it's written in the Torah. In Leviticus 23, you shall count 7 complete weeks from the day following Pesach, when you brought the Omer as a wave offering. To the day after the 7th week, you shall count 50 days. And let's recite the verse from the Torah that is commanding you to do this mitzvah. And I'm going to say and declare that I'm ready to do the mitzvah, and then I'm going to say the bracha. And so that's this paragraph that's right here. But people also, over time, said, right? They also, you can say that pretty quickly also. And so then the mystics added this other element, and that's the L'shem Yichud Kutsurichu Shchinte. Because the Kabbalists felt that a mitzvah is not just a mitzvah, but every mitzvah that we do is, in a mystical plane, is repairing the fractured elements of the Godhead and reuniting the shattered pieces of the divine that exist in creation, and I'm bringing them all back together and elevating those sparks when I do a mitzvah. And so I'm going to say that. That's the kavanah. That's my intention when I do the mitzvah. L'shem yichud kutsur. I'm doing this mitzvah to unite the Holy Blessed One and God's own presence. It's a chilul v'rachimo in fear and love. To unify the letters of God's name, Hashem Kol Yisrael, the name of all Israel, right? Wow. So that's also, the Kabbalists added that bit. But that too, people can also say really quickly. So it's sort of a perennial problem. It's sort of like, kavanah inflation, okay? Intentionality inflation. That is always like, if you say something with regularity, it's very hard to So it's like pay attention to it. I know somebody who recommends using a different siddur every couple months, because like the font is different and the pages are different, and so it forces you to like pay attention a little bit, maybe. So personally, I don't say any of those things like that. You know, I just say the bracha. I try to have in mind that like I'm aware that I'm doing a mitzvah, that I'm paying attention. So the bracha is the bracha counting, and then you see in the next couple of pages, we just count the number of days. The 5th day, 6th day, 7th day, 8th day, 9th day, 10th day. The mitzvah is to count the day, which means if somebody says, so what number are we counting tonight? You say, oh, tonight we're counting 10. Oops, I've already counted, right? So you don't say that. Understand? You can't say the bracha and count if you already said what day it is. Because the bracha is for counting. If someone says, okay, everyone, we're about to count the 10th day. Ooh, I've already said it. Okay, never mind, too late. Missed the mitzvah. So instead, what we say is yesterday was the 9th day. And hopefully people figure out what that means. And then you say the bracha, and you count the 10th day. Interesting question, what if you write the date in a letter? Does that count? Is that what it's about? So also fun questions about Sfrat Omer.
I remember some of those.
Wait, what's the answer?
I forget. The question is more important than the answer, sometimes. Another famous question in Sfrat Omer, there's a dispute whether it's one mitzvah to count 50 days, or if it's 49 separate mitzvot. And this comes up, what if you forget a day? Say, okay, I forgot a day, so the next day I'll keep counting. Great. But maybe if it's only one mitzvah with 49 separate parts, you miss one day, you're done, right? So, because you missed it. So we say if you missed a day, you should continue counting, but you should not say the bracha, because maybe it's one mitzvah. So the Veitchik said, no, it's not one mitzvah, but the mitzvah is counting, and definitionally, like the part and parcel of the definition of counting is consistency. And once you break a day, then whatever you're doing is not counting, because counting implies not missing a number and having each number on that progression. So this comes up with a very famous question. Somebody who becomes a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, or somebody who converts to Judaism in the middle of Sfirat Omer. She started counting as a Gentile, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. And then she becomes Jewish, and now she is continuing to count as somebody who is commanded by the Torah to count Sfirat Omer. So she didn't have a full 49 days as a Jewish person who is fulfilling the mitzvah of Sfirat Omer. On the other hand, she did have continuity, because she was in fact counting every single day and didn't miss a day. So should she count Sfirat Omer with the bracha for the second half of the count that she's a Jew for, or not? So that's a dispute. But I think the more common answer is that she should count with the bracha, because she had continuity. Or bar mitzvah boy, whatever, he had continuity. He counted every day. So now that he becomes obligated as a Jewish adult, or now that this person converts and is obligated in all the mitzvot of the Torah, so great, but they can still continue counting with the bracha. In the Middle Ages, practices of mourning developed during Sfirat Omer. Not really a negative time in the Torah, but the Talmud says that Rabbi Akiva's students died during Sfirat Omer. During the Middle Ages, the first Crusades took place. The beginning part of the first Crusade took place this time of year. The first Crusade, 1096, the first Crusades were launched. Armies went from France and Germany to the Middle East. On their way, they massacred thousands and thousands of Jews in France and mostly in Germany, in the Rhineland, in Speyer, in Mainz, in Vermaisa, in Magenza. Thousands and thousands of Jews died. Entire communities committed suicide. In anticipation of the Crusader armies, it was a pretty awful, traumatic experience in Jewish history. Some say a turning point in European Jewish history, and around that time as well, since it happened this time of year, some mourning practices developed as well. So there's no weddings during Sfirat Omer. People don't go to concerts during Sfirat Omer. People don't get haircuts during Sfirat Omer. At least for the first half. After the 33rd day of the Omer, the common practice is to relax those mourning traditions, because maybe that's where we should stop dying. There's a murky origins of how those practices developed, but that is commonly we observe those mourning practices for the first days of the Omer, but then after Lag Omer, after the 33rd day of the Omer, people have weddings and haircuts, etc. I don't think we have, I think we'll Shavuot, I'll just say, okay, so quickly about Shavuot, and then Shavuot, we just had Shavuot. I don't know if you were all around for Shavuot. So it's the holiday, the end of those 49 days, the 50th day after Passover. It has no date of its own in the Torah. It's just determined as being 50 days after Passover. It's in the Torah. It's a harvest festival, like all the pilgrimage holidays. It also happens to be the anniversary of the date the Torah was given on Mount Sinai. Though that's not explicit in the Torah, if you read carefully, it emerged that that is the case. And so we celebrate the day as, again, a agricultural holiday, like all the biblical festivals, and we also celebrate Shavuot as a celebration of the Torah. So how do we celebrate the Torah? We stay up all night, many of us, on the first day of Shavuot, studying Torah and celebrating, sort of kind of embracing Torah study in our lives, in our community. And it's also a practice to eat dairy food on Shavuot. And the reasons for that are unclear, but that is a practice. People have dairy foods on Shavuot. Okay, we'll pause here. You're welcome and encouraged to stay for Mincha. And I think we have our next class a week from today, right?
Can you just real quick talk about Shiva?
Shivas for Tammuz. Tuesday is the fast of the night of 70th of Tammuz.
Yeah.
70th of Tammuz is one of the 4 minor fasts. That means the fast begins when it begins to get light in the morning and it ends at dark. So instead of a 25-hour fast, it's only a 18 hours. It's a long fast in the summer. It's one of the long ones. It is the date in which the Romans breached the walls of Jerusalem. It's the day in which the daily sacrifice in the temple ceased. It's the day on which Moses smashed the tablets, I think. Yes. So a number of bad things in Jewish history happened on this day. So it is a fast day and it inaugurates a period of 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, which commemorates the actual destruction of the temple. And during these 3 weeks, between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av, people have the custom not to have haircuts, not to shave. Some people not to have weddings, not to buy new clothing or new things that make you especially happy, not to move into a new house during these 3 weeks. All right.
Whoops.
You're not buying a house, so
No.
I don't think
Just
moving.
an apartment.
I think moving into a rental, I don't think is quite. I'm not sure if that's sufficiently joyous as to be a problem.
I don't think you can give anyone very much joy.
Yeah, that's not joyful.
Terrible.
You buy one day, you'll buy a home maybe, and then you can experience joy. Okay, cool.